Hi everyone, today we will be discussing digital radiography and CT scanning in dentistry. This presentation was done by Danya, Fahara, and Haley. Some of the key points we will be looking at involve uses today, advances in periodontology, advantages and disadvantages, and fun facts. The question we are going to be answering throughout our slides is, what advances do you see in digital imaging in the near future? So what is digital radiography and CT scanning in dentistry? Digital radiography is a form of X-ray imaging where digital sensors are used to replace traditional photographic X-ray film, producing enhanced computer images of teeth, gums, and other oral structures and conditions. The direct method uses an electronic sensor placed in the mouth to record images. Dental CT scanners are capable of providing excellent three-dimensional diagnostic images of hard tissues with lower radiation doses than medical multi-slice CT scanners of the same area. Today's uses. So dentists order oral x-rays when they want to check out the health of your mouth, gums, and teeth. Dental professionals today are increasingly using digital dental radiographs or digital x-rays to better detect, diagnose, treat, and monitor oral conditions and diseases. Advancements. Traditional x-rays are considered safe. Digital x-rays produce 80% less radiation than traditional. This means it is highly unlikely that you would develop issues from occasional traditional radiation exposure, but it is even less likely with the process used in digital x-rays. The cost effectiveness of using digital radiography rather than film comes down to the fact that film is expensive. So cone beam computed radiography is one of the newest and most expensive types of digital radiography available, yet it is quickly becoming one of the most useful. A scan in the area of interest is taken and the resulting image is displayed as image slices or 3D images of the area.
So on this slide over here, we have the manual film versus the digital films. So the manual processing is a method that is used to develop, rinse, fix, and wash dental x-ray films. So it has a high image contrast, as in a large differences between the gray shades that is associated with a low number of gray steps. However, with digital radiographs, it is possible to display an image with a wide latitude while preserving high image contrast. And the types of digital imaging that we have according to the films is extraoral and intraoral. Extraoral example would be panoramic or a lateral oblique jaw film. And for an intraoral, we have preapicals and bite wings. So it's like a photographic film that is faster and it has less exposure time. So over here we have the procedural steps for digital imaging. First, we have to make sure there is a proper infection control of the intraoral sensor. Then we have to make sure the placement of the sensor in the client's mouth is conventional film holder, making sure it's parallel technique, as it's the preferred method for the exposure. Then the third step would be the radiation exposure of the sensor with the conventional radiographic unit, and then the digital conversion of the analog image into the computer. Finally, the display of the digital image on the computer monitor for the diagnostic purposes of the current procedure. And now when that's being said, we have to look at the client's protection. So first we have to place a lead apron on the client. So a lead apron is a flexible shield placed over the client's chest and lap to protect the reproductive and blood-forming tissues from scatter radiation by making sure the neck area is also covered. So specifically in dental radiation, we get to choose a radiation factor. So the dental radiographer can choose a setting of 70 to 90 kilovoltage peak. That is the fastest amount of the client to observe. And that's why LRA is important in radiology. So LRA is known to be as low as reasonably achieved, as in less exposure time. So it helps to limit the dosage of radiation exposure, and this is the best practice in addition to being predicted on illegal doses that are in place for all radiation safety programs.
All right, we're just going to take a quick x-ray of your teeth. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. You're going to be completely safe, all right?
X-ray! Everybody get behind cover!
Cassidy, did you lie to him and tell him he was going to be okay? Bitch, if I told him that shit had more radiation than North Korea itself, his stupid ass wouldn't have gone in and now, would he?
And now for the radiographer protection. So the radiographer should stand behind a wall before the exposure. This way they're not exposed to any scattered radiation. And a dental radiographer wears a radiation monitoring badge, as this badge measures the amount of radiation that a dental radiographer is exposed to.
I'm just going to take a quick x-ray. Don't worry, it's completely safe.
And in terms of the indications for radiography in dental, there are numerous, but most commonly it includes clinical signs that is associated with preapical dental diseases, including disorders of the perinasal sinus or nasal cavity, such as unilateral nasal discharge, facial or mandibular swelling, head trauma, etc. So the radiograph should not be scheduled based on the time, like a full mouth x-ray are done every 3 years, and the bite wings are done yearly. And most importantly, we have to look at the advantage and disadvantage of taking radiology. So first we have time efficiency, as in it's very quick step, and then the ability to digitally transfer and enhance images, and then it's very good for detecting dental caries in early stages. Also, it's very good for identifying bone loss in early stage, and finally locating abnormalities in the surrounding hard and soft tissues by providing information during the dental procedure, such as root canal therapy. And finally, we have the patient education, as in taking a digital radiograph and immediately explaining the findings to the client views the condition on an operatory by monitoring if it is extremely useful and practical, and it improves the communication skills between the radiographer, the hygienist, and the client. And then the client have to accept the treatment options and plans based on what was advised. And last but not least, we have the disadvantages. So any exposure to radiation, no matter how small it is, it can cause some harmful biological changes. So it can cause permanent damage to living cells and tissues. It can cause genetic mutation, and it perhaps can cause cancer. So the critical organs that can be affected by the radiation are skin, thyroid glands, lens of the eyes, and the bone marrow.
So on the next slide, we have, are dental x-rays safe? So a rem is a large dose of radiation. So the millirem, which is 1,000 of a rem, is often used for the dosage commonly encountered, such as the amount of radiation received from medical x-rays and background sources. So as you can see on the graph, that eating 2 bananas is almost equivalent to the amount of radiation that we receive during a PA, and even taking a full mouth x-ray is less amount of radiation than taking a flight from LA to New York City. Anytime images are taken, the ALORA principle is used and protective measures are taken. Fortunately, digital x-rays are drastically low levels of radiation, making them even safer than the background radiation we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. So some not so fun facts about x-rays are that traditional x-rays were first discovered in 1895. Röntgen, who first discovered x-rays, he took his first x-ray on his wife's hand with her wedding ring on. They believed x-rays were harmless to the human body. They were wrong. They later found out that exposure to radiation can be detrimental on the human body. Röntgen's wife had so many x-rays taken on her hand, she ended up having to amputate some of her fingers. And digital imaging is less expensive than traditional imaging,
consuming 2 bananas is equivalent to getting 1 digital x-ray taken. And dental x-rays are one of the lowest radiation exposures in our daily lives. And newer sensor-based machines use about 1/10 the amount of radiation that the traditional film-based machines did. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.